Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for taking the time to attend our webinar today on self-service. This is a tool we've had an opportunity to work with extensively across the organization and do a lot of cool stuff with. So what we hope to do today is sort of give you a taste of different ideas and things different organizations have done. And hopefully you find it very interesting and it helps you improve your self-service and open enrollment processes. We have two main presenters today. Ms. Melissa Olson, Mr. Jeff House. They're going to do a great job covering this. But first, I have a couple of housekeeping items. First, we have a live webinar feed that you can see. You should be able to toggle that on your screen, whatever makes the most sense. And we'll just keep the whole presentation up for ourselves right now. Second of all, we do encourage questions along the way. Just type them into the GoToMeeting questions box or chat box. We'll try to ask him if time allows during the presentation. If not, we'll save them towards the end. And we will be recording this presentation and sending out that recording as a follow-up. Give us 2 or 3 days to have that. I'll also point out that we have multiple presentations going on today. And if you want to check out some of the others, you can go to www.rpac.com. And under events, we have them all listed. You can register anytime, even while it's going on. And I'll do a quick about RPI here before I hand it off to our presenters. Just do the click. In case anybody doesn't know, we are a Lawson professional services organization, 40+ strong, do everything related to Lawson, and been doing this for a very, very long time. So hopefully you'll find some very informative stuff here today that'll give us an opportunity to work with you in the future. And with that, I give you Melissa and Jeff.
Thank you, Keith. Okay, good morning. Good morning. It's still morning, isn't it? Yes, it is. Okay, so we're just going to hit a couple of topics today that I want to go over. For those of you who may not know what self-service is and, just kind of checking this out, we're going to just give you a brief definition. We're going to go over some things that you could do, right now if you either haven't implemented or you have implemented and just have it kind of out of the box vanilla, and go into how to manage your bookmarks, show you the ease of what comes out of the box, and creating and maintaining groups so that way you can actually deliver content to specific areas of your organization and everybody doesn't see everything at once. We'll go over some modifications that we've done on the employee self-service side, including the process flows, approvals, and some code modifications. And then we'll dig into the manager self-service side and do the same thing, some of the process flows and modifications we've seen with a lot of our clients on that side. Finally, we'll wrap it up answering any of the questions that you've typed in the box. So Keith said if you put some throughout, and we may just turn to them if it works right into the topic that we're working on. We'll answer them at that point. So just want to let you know that everything that we go over today is the opinion of RPI. This is work that we have done for our own clients. This is not from Infor or representing Infor. Also, the screenshots that you'll see are on version 9. This is because a lot of the work we've done has been in the last 3-4 years. So our clients had version 9, and that's what you're seeing. So a lot of the stuff, if you don't see version 10, it's not because it cannot be done on version 10. It's just that's what we've got examples of for the presentation. Okay, so what is self-service? So your self-service portals, employee and manager self-service, are there to empower your employees to get to everything they need HR related. It's just a one-stop shop. So they can get to their benefits information, they can change or update any of their own personal information, view their job information to ensure your supervisory structure is correct, your position structure is correct. They can see that and validate it. Your managers can see that and validate it, and help you as an HR staff keep everything up to date. It also saves your department, if you're in HR, a lot of resource time because you are not having to go in there and deal with data entry, paper forms, approvals on your own through paper. Everything is done online. Okay, so what's delivered out of the box? You'll see here, and I'm not going to read all of these topics, but this, again, in version 9 and everything in version 10 is pretty much the same. You've got areas and benefits, career management, a lot of areas that you can either release or you can hide and release at a later date, or you never have to roll out at all. So what we'll go through are, we'll go through pretty much the big ones that a lot of clients do decide to roll out. And as I said, you can do it in a phased approach, and we're going to show you how to do that with releasing some of the bookmarks as just view only, and then moving into allowing your employees to make updates to the system. So some of the custom bookmarks that you can do, and again, this is out of the box. This is something you would do on your own with your department. I showed you the ones that Lawson delivers. These are some of the other ones that you can set up on your own. So you can link out to your company intranet. You can put out some frequently asked questions. You can go to all of your benefit vendor sites. Again, you want, like I mentioned earlier, a one-stop shop. So your employees just log in to one area and they can reach everything that they need to HR related, HR benefits and payroll related. So when you want to create a custom bookmark, again, you just go into your bookmark manager, and I'm going to go into a little bit deeper into how to do some of the things. So I said, like I said, you can leave your webinar right now and go play around in your system and try some of this stuff out. If you've got access to the bookmark manager, you're able to go in here and just update your bookmarks. If you don't, you can talk to your security admin about giving you the portal administrator security role on your resource manager record. It's not a security role, it's just a flag as a portal administrator. And you would be able to go in there, create a brand new bookmark, give it a name, and your URL, if it's outside of the web of the intranet or Lawson, you'll put the www address in there, link out to your benefits vendors. If it is within Lawson, you just find out the path where a document is located. Any documents that you want to update, like your benefits manuals or policy manuals, load them up to your Lawson server, determine what that string is, and place them there in the URL. You can allow access, which would give everybody who's got access to self-service ability to view it, or if you deny it, nobody will see it, and then you can allow access to just certain groups to see it, and we'll hit that in the next couple slides. So for your groups, say you've got some part-time people that they're not benefits eligible, they don't accrue any PTO, so you want them to have self-service, but yet you don't want them to see all of the benefits bookmarks, and you don't want them to see the absence management bookmarks because those don't pertain to them, and it's kind of confusing. So you can create a group where they do not see those bookmarks, and you can create another group where all of your benefit eligible people would be able to see those things. Same thing if you've got different affiliates or different companies with different benefits offerings. So you want one to see a certain area of books, cost sheets, different types of benefits that only pertain to that hospital or that organization. You can release those to those employees, and all the other employees only see the books and cost sheets that pertain to their organization. And to do that, you would set up groups on the resource manager. So it's not an employee group, but you would go into your resource manager and add a new group there, and then in the security admin, you would put that group on each of the employees' resource manager records. So that is at the point you deny access for everybody, and then you'll edit access here in the group access and give each of the organizations access to that bookmark. So
now let's say you want to use your employee groups and synchronize them with your RM groups. Our last session was on IPA, and maybe some of you were there. But that would be a perfect use for an IPA flow to synchronize your employee group with your RM group to coordinate this type of access. So it would be dynamic, and then you wouldn't have the manual intervention of adding these employees to the groups.
It's a great point. Okay, so some of the common, Jeff's going to talk about some of the modifications that he's seen and we've seen here at RPI.
And we have some screen prints of some of these coming up, so I'm going to talk to the ones that don't have upcoming screen prints. So let's say we want to really guide our employee through something. Open enrollment is probably a very big one where employees are a little bit nervous about selecting their benefits. We want to give them as much information as we can. We want to give them instructions. We want to give them things dynamically that are going to happen as they go through this process. So as they hit certain pieces, especially as our health plans tend to get more complicated with a mix of high deductible health plans and traditional health plans, we might want to really give them a lot of information. We don't exactly have too much real estate on those open enrollment screens. So when we get there, we might want to give them a link that'll pop up and really give them a nice chart to explain the differences. When we have our traditional method of saying, this is a plan description of my high deductible health plan, this is a plan description of my PPO, but we can give them a lot more with some other links and pop it outside of our ESS window.
And like a project that you worked on to where you give them that decision point. So if they do choose the high deductible plan, then they're able to get the HSA that goes along with that as opposed to...
That's great, and that's true. As many organizations are offering high deductible health plans and traditional health plans as options for employees, there are some flexible accounts or spending accounts that are associated with those that may or may not be eligible depending on what we choose. If I choose a high deductible health plan, I'm going to be eligible to participate in the HSA, but if I choose a traditional PPO plan, I am not eligible to hit my FSA. And we have to dynamically determine that to see what the employee selected as we go through the open enrollment process. It's a perfect example of a customization to ESS. We can also make certain things required that may or may not be out of the box. For instance, maybe on an address change, we want to make a certain field required that may not be on there. Mm-hmm. Embedding your video. So we talked just a little bit about our enrollment process and how we want to make it easier. And we're going to have a really, really cool demo of this as well, where we can actually see some videos that are going to come up for us as we go through our benefits enrollment process. Another thing that I was talking to Melissa about recently is doing smoker status. Many benefits carriers are requiring data as to who smokes. And we have the smoker status right out of the box, but it's only for the employee. What if I'm married and I don't smoke? Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to cover my mic. I don't smoke, but my spouse does. Then I need to be able to capture that somehow so I can feed this information to my benefits vendor. So we can modify that smoker screen to have this type of data. So when we interface over to our benefit vendor, they have it as well. So certain things such as, that there's been requests about maybe I want to be able to view my tax withholdings, but I do not want to allow the employee to update their tax withholdings online. Well, with a few simple customizations, I can make it so these values are read-only for the employee, where normally within there they would be able to click the link and then they would be able to change their exemptions. Here, I can just view it so they can know, and then they would know to, we could even put a link on here to the form, to a W-4 form or your internal form or both, where we could get it to the payroll department for a manual intervention. Some things, as you can see on here, are sensitive. I don't know if I really want my bank account information to display on my screen, even though I'm in my cube and I'm pretty cozy. Man, that dude behind me might come along and look at my information and write it down, and then he's tapping into my bank account. No, that's, you don't touch my money. So
we've got a lot of people who have kiosks, that they're in a hospital and they're, just working with just randoms all around them. So just randoms.
Exactly. So it's Cinco de Mayo. We're starting to get punchy. So we can secure these sensitive fields. We can mask them, as you can see here, with some X's or some other. We could even just blank it out if we really wanted to.
And Social Security numbers and other data item that is really popular to be able to mask because of that same thing.
Yes.
With identity theft going on, you don't want anybody, even if it is your manager, to be able to view your social on any of the ESS or MSS screens.
This is for anybody that's looking at their leave balances and where am I in my cycle? We can do some customization to see where I am and add a lot more information. Previously it might just display how much I have and then list our transactions. But here, this is a nice summary that somebody could use to get even more detail about their leaves. A common request is also, when do I move up to my next level? Well, I might be able to find where I was and then determine based on my LP screens where I'm going to go and how long it'll take me to get there. And we can display that on the screen through ESS with some customization.
Calculations.
In our next one, going through a divorce is really not fun, but trust me. But here, we may not be able to. We don't want to do a name change. We kind of want that to go more through a personnel action or through our HR department. But we want the employee to capture the date. So let's just hide the box altogether. We can remove functionality that we want from default Lawson.
Yeah, and in this case, it was for one of those phased out approaches where they weren't quite ready to do the process flow in the back end to do the approvals for the name change, but they just wanted to get that the date of a status change, so the life event would open enrollment so they could change their enrollments. So yeah, like Jeff was saying, you've got a lot of flexibility in what you want to hide and what you want to show, so you can roll out as you're ready to roll out. And Jeff, did you want to go into kind of some of the technical pieces of maintaining and what you do to get some of these modifications in?
So if you want to maintain your own ESS screens, it's definitely recommended that you know some JavaScript, HTML, and XML. Do you have to be a hardcore coder like working for Google? No, you really don't. Another thing that really helps you if you're going to do your own customizations is understanding the Lawson functionality, almost being a hybrid between somebody who can code and somebody who understands the HR module, because you're dealing directly with HR. Your HR people are going to come to you and say, I want this, and you're going to have to figure out how to translate it and figure out this code, and so you really kind of need to bridge that. Now, as far as modifying the files on the server, there's a couple different ways that you can do it. You can either rename it. Let's say I want to make a change to my paychecks. Then I might have paycheck.htm. I can rename that as organization paycheck HTM. And now when I install a new update, it won't overwrite my changes, but I still am going to need to merge some of the changes that Lawson may have delivered in a fix into my customizations. So I always recommend doing code blocks of what it is that you modify in each file. If you want to keep the traditional Lawson name, if I want to keep paychecks.htm, then I'm going to have my live one as paychecks.htm. Then I have a renamed file, or a copy of it, of paychecks.htm.mod and paychecks.htm.original. So I can have 3 files sitting out on my server, and I'll be able to easily see the differences between them. However, you still want to do code blocks within there to know what you have changed. Some of the things that I definitely recommend with doing these types of customizations.
So Jeff, say I'm ready to upgrade to version 10. What happens to my customizations? Will they be okay? Are they compatible, with version 10?
They are going to be compatible. However, just like with any upgrade, you're going to have to test them thoroughly. You're going to have to merge your changes into those changes that Lawson has made. And also, depending on what you've done with your code and how you've accessed certain things, you may need to analyze the compatibility of Mingle being on top of your Lawson portal. So that could throw you for a little bit of a loop as you migrate your customizations to version 10. If they're mild, if you're just changing a phrase, in the phrase file, that's another big thing about your customizations is if you don't like the way it says, click next to continue, you want it to say something else, be a little more descriptive, modify the XML phrase file that's in your XHRNet, XML, Lang, and then more than likely ENUS. And there's going to be there's going to be Ben messages, ESS messages. Modify those phrase files, and so that way you can deliver what's the verbiage that's being changed.
Thank you.
And we were talking a little bit about the embedded videos, and we have another lovely lady here. She looks a lot better than I do, and she's going to show us about embedding our videos.
Yeah, so come on in, Jackie. Jackie's also a HR consultant here with RPI, so she's been working with some partners on delivering and embedding video. So I'll go ahead and turn this over to you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is something that we at RPI are really excited about because it really helps simplify the enrollment process for employees. You're going to see our screens changing a little bit. We're going to try and do a live demo. Hopefully everything goes smoothly with it. But basically the idea here is we've partnered with the benefits experts and benefits perspectives to work on embedding these videos in the benefits enrollment within ESS. So we have our audio off here, but this video is auto-playing. Once we click benefits enrollment here in ESS, this is your welcome video, and this will auto-play and show your employees, kind of what they're getting into here when they start their benefits enrollment process. If you click continue and kind of go along the benefits enrollment process, you'll see, pardon the delay, you'll see that we can actually add videos for any plans that you might have. So once the benefits experts and benefits perspective guys get an idea of what your offerings are, they can customize a video for you that we can then work to embed directly into your benefits enrollment. So here we have, for health plans, we have a PPO plan and an HSA plan, and we have both the PPO plan video and an HSA plan video here as well. We can maybe play one of these, but we won't play all of them for you, but we can include these on each screen for which you provide benefits.
Great.
All right, just to get a feel of what these videos look like.
Hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jackie. So you can see you've got, again, a lot of different things you can do. You don't have to really just follow what Lawson or Infor pushes out in the self-services when bringing in other companies to help customize all of the information you have. Now everybody's used to just getting data fed to them. They don't want to go out and look for a lot of things anymore. So this is nice where you have a video and all they have to do is just sit there and listen to what the offerings are as opposed to having to root around a benefits book and find the right plans and see if that plan pertains to them, and they can just get everything right in the video. So we're really excited about that new offering that we've been working on. Okay, all right, bring this back into Jeff.
Sorry, you have to endure me again. So we're going to talk just very briefly about using IPA with our employee self-service. So we can link our employee self-service and we can trigger workflows. It could be out of the box with how with our application triggers, or we might even determine that if a certain type of change is made, that we can trigger the flow manually, well, not manually, dynamically through our ESS code. So that way we could just make a simple web call and send it out, and then trigger our process flow. You can see some examples on here about different ways that you could use IPA to and employee self-service to go hand in hand.
Right, so I think that first one goes hand in hand with that last example we had of removing the name change from your life event screen. So if you were ready to make that name change happen, then you can just have an in-basket set up for HR and wait. It'll just sit in there and wait until that employee brings in their dependent or their documentation that validates they have a legal name change, and then HR can approve it, and it updates the name in the system. Same goes for the dependents. You have to wait till you get some verification documentation, and it'll sit in that in-basket for them. The voluntary life STD and LTD plans, we see that happen a lot in benefits. If an employee chooses a plan that is above what is offered or what is guaranteed with their organization, they have to go out for EOI documents, evidence of insurability. So this is another place where we use IPA to kind of put it in a holding area table until that evidence of insurability has come through from the employee, and then it updates their BN files so the open enrollment can continue with those new plans or the new selection. And if it doesn't come in, then the guaranteed amount is pushed through.
And maybe we have something where the employee said that I have a new certification, or I have a degree, but I need to show proof of it. So before I actually enter it into the system, I might want to hold it for a little bit and make sure that it's done. And then also, maybe I want to request some time off, and I want it to go through approval. I want to take a week's vacation, but it needs to go forward to my manager before it actually gets done. We can actually use IPA for that.
And then that middle one here, it's another insurance-related or open enrollment-related one. There's this weird status that doesn't trigger an open enrollment. So somebody moves from part-time or a non-benefit eligible status to a benefit eligible status. And if you're familiar with the way Lawson's rules work, the only way you can get your online enrollments are if you're a new employee and within 30 days or whatever the amount of time you decide to allow your new employees to enroll in benefits, it's open. If you have a life event, so you have a child, you get married, you get divorced, it triggers an open enrollment. But there's no way if you move from a part-time to a full-time type status will you get that open enrollment. You kind of have to call HR, they have to mess with some dates, open it up for you, or do a manual enrollment for you. So we've also got an IPA process that goes in and changes those BEN dates based on a status change into a benefited status, benefit eligible status, sorry.
And this is one of my absolute favorite topics to talk about is Design Studio. It's probably one of the most underutilized features of a Lawson system. It's so nice to be able to make a change to a form but not have it affect the underlying code. We're making some presentation level changes. One of the really cool ones is, let's say you hire your new hires directly on HR 11. HR 11, as many of us know, has so many different tabs that we have to navigate through. And if we want to push this out to a nurse manager or a store manager, some sort of other person who may say, I've hired this new employee, I'm going to put them into the system myself, we don't want to give them HR 11 directly. And then with HR 11, when we add an employee, what else do we have to add? We have to add direct deposit information, we have to add tax withholdings, all kinds of different things. Maybe we're doing the employee's emergency contacts as well. With Design Studio, you do have the power of taking a base screen and then even adding some more. One of the cool ones I did is for a new hire was combining HR 11, where the very first thing it did was you had to input a social security number. It would go out and query and say, does this social security number exist in my employee table? If the answer is yes, then I'm only going to allow you to do this if that person's a rehire. You're not going to make a change to this person. You're only going to be able to hire them. So we could look for their termination status. Or if it doesn't exist, then I'm going to allow you to proceed and add. Otherwise, I'm going to stop you dead in your tracks. You know, but anybody who's used HR 11 puts in data, has social security number, clicks add, duplicate number exists. Oh man, now I got to go look this up. Why not have a query right out of the gate? Tells you if it's already in the system or not, and it might even tell you what the employee number is. But in addition to that, if we're doing a new hire, then we can add the employee's direct deposit, we can add their emergency contact, we can add their taxes, we can add almost anything we want, put it all on the one screen, and create separate transaction calls out to those screens after the employee has been successfully added. Some other examples of Design Studio, if maybe we issue out our laptops and the manager knows what it is, or there's some other piece of company property.
It does it.
Yep. And then we can have them input that into a more friendly screen than the traditional Lawson screen. Another example would be our disciplinary actions. We may not want to use every field on there, but make it kind of simple, and we can move stuff around and prettify it.
And this also kind of helps with your licensing. So say you do have some back office screens that you want your employees to be able to update, but you don't want to buy 1,000 back office licenses. If you deliver through your self-services with a Design Studio screen, that really turns that into a self-service bookmark as opposed to a back office screen for licensing purposes. Okay, so now we're going to move over to the manager self-service. So again, that same vein of being able to phase in your rollout in phases, roll out to your managers in just a view-only phase. They can see their direct reports, they can see their direct reports information, but they don't necessarily have any ability to make any updates. They're not ready to change their processes to terminate and do any pay changes on employee self-service or manager self-service quite yet. But you want to get your managers used to logging into a portal and giving them that information that they generally call HR for and ask for reports about their employees. So you can roll it out with removing all the links to personnel actions. There's a little drill around icon on there that once you get in, you've pretty much got access to all of the information that HR has access to when they drill around on an employee. You can remove that drill around icon altogether, or you can remove elements in that drill around. So say managers don't need to know their benefits enrollment, or maybe they've thankfully removed all of the direct deposit links, which came out in earlier versions. But there's some other topics that the manager really doesn't need to know about. You can remove those links, yet give them still that access to drill around if you'd like. You can upload photos, which we've done with linking to a badging system. So wherever your employee IDs, the photos for those are taken, can be uploaded and mapped to the Lawson server. Add links to social media. And make comment fields required when your manager does a termination and the termination is not rehire, or the employee is not rehirable. So sometimes they should be putting in those comments, but sometimes they do not. So that's another case where we talked about making a field required and forcing them to do that before they can finish that action. Okay, so some of the flows and approvals that we've done in manager self-service is maintaining your supervisor hierarchy. So there's, if based on the personnel action, if a person is hired into a position that is a supervisory position, the flow would go ahead and look at the position, see if it's a manager. If it is, go out to that manager supervisor code and add that new employee's ID. So it's constantly keeping that hierarchy maintained for you and your HR person who maintains personnel actions and terminations. New hires doesn't have to make sure and do that themselves. You can prevent your managers from submitting terminations on any employees that have multiple positions. So manager A has no idea that employee has another manager and another position that they're working on. They've got another affiliate that they might be working in, might be a hospital or another department, and they try and go and terminate them. Employee gets terminated, and then manager B is like, hey, wait a minute, they're still working for me. They didn't want to terminate from the company entirely. They just wanted to terminate from that one position. So we can put a flow out there that lets manager A know, hey, employee is on 2 positions. Are they leaving the company, or are they just leaving this one spot? And manager B over here can say, no, I'd like them to stay on with me, and it doesn't allow that termination to come through. Some easy way to say the logic. The logic's, of course, a lot more difficult than that in the back end. And then your escalations. So you've got somebody that's either on vacation, not doing their job properly, and they're not taking care of any of the workflow approvals in a timely manner. You can have it escalate up to the next level, or another manager at their own level within a predetermined amount of time. Some other ones are, you've got some notifications. You can notify IT to turn off all of their access. You can notify administration, your admin office to get badges and phones back, whatever needs to happen when somebody is either hired or terminated. Your leaves, if you want your manager to trigger that leave process for FMLA or personal leaves, the manager can change their status, and then it notifies HR to follow up on this leave. PTO approvals, so if you do not allow your employees to go into negative hours, you can put a stop in there that says the employee is trying to take some time and they don't have the hours available, so it'll notify the manager not to approve it. And here's a couple of screenshots of some stuff that we've done. This one on review. We had the next review date auto-populated after the manager did the performance review on the employee. And here's one where a second-level manager, so manager submitted a pay change, which was outside of the pay change that they're able to do, above a 5%. So it goes to the next level manager to approve it. And we've done a custom leave tracking system that will manage PTO and FMLA type leave, and I'm going to bring in another guest speaker, a fellow ginger over here, Richard Stout. You may have seen him on some other presentations today, and we'll see him on more presentations to let us know about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that introduction.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So this is a pretty exciting, pretty useful customization because, as we know, Lawson does a great job of managing leave taken and leave due, but it doesn't really have a requesting system built in, right? So how are most organizations doing this? They're either doing it on paper or totally out of bound on like an Outlook calendar or something like that, and that means we don't have a good audit trail behind that. So what we have here is an ESS customization that has brought in a request and approval system for employees to take leave, either vacation or FMLA. This integrates with the LP module as well, so we can see.
There it is.
There we go. Yeah. So basically, our employee can go into an online calendar, enter in the leave that they want to take. That can be approved. The manager has a great also calendar-based view, so they could see here's all the leave of all my employees overlaid on one calendar, so they can make sure we have coverage in our area. As I mentioned, all this integrates back to LP. Yeah, we can just flip through the
yeah, just so we can get the good stuff that they can see.
So behind the scenes, this is a fairly straightforward system. It's powered by some custom screens and tables. And then a couple of new HTML and JavaScript files in ESS. So it's fairly straightforward for us to plug this in to an ESS environment, and that's made it fairly safe for to survive updates as well. Great. Yeah, here we're just taking a look at the manager's dashboard here that shows all our leave requests.
And if there's a lot of leave at one time, there's multiple boxes, so you can approve them all at once.
Great.
Get over here. Oh, skipped over the manager's calendar.
hit it one more time.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, so this is the manager's view of leave scheduled and leave approved.
And it's pretty nice because if you are a manager and your employees submit leave or PTO, this gives you oversight of everybody's schedule. So, you know, now I've got way too many people on this Wednesday taking the day off. So that means next person that puts it in, I can't approve them. I need some people to be on the floor or whatever it is at work that day. So it's a pretty nice overview.
Yeah, and I understand this reconciles back to LP as well. So employees actually have to go and indicate that their LP balances at month end are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Great.
And then this is just one that lets a manager, so say employee is, you know, somewhere where they are not able to enter their leave, manager can do it for them. Maybe it's the end of the payroll and they need to get it in before the next
Or what if they've just called out sick?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So before we go on, I'm gonna borrow the mic.
Sure.
I'm gonna borrow Mr. Stoutwell. He's still up here because right after a couple slides we're gonna get to questions. But there's one question specifically that relates to migration to version 10. I'll point out that there is a version 10 technical differences webinar at 12:15 that you can sign up for under rpic.com under events that Mr. Stout will be leading. But I'm going to take care of this question while he's up here. And the question is, what happens to my bookmarks when I move to version 10?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a big difference. Of course, with the Mingle interface in version 10, things look a little bit differently. So bookmarks still work, right? Our familiar blue bar on the left side of the page, that doesn't exist anymore in version 10. The bookmarks are now just shortcuts for a bit more of a click away.
Mm-hmm.
Still in the upper left, it's now a drop down that you can navigate through.
Mm-hmm.
So this brings in a consideration for those of you running ESS outside of the firewall, and I'll talk a bit about that in 30 minutes from now in the Loss in 10 presentation. But
dial in.
Yeah, so dial in, and we'll talk about what you can do if you're running ESS outside the firewall and you're concerned about navigating into those pages through a Mingle framework as opposed to a portal framework.
Thank you.
All right.
And then another one we've got here, another process flow that we generally always do when we roll out self-service is automating your account creation. So it's three things. It's automating your new hire. When they come on, they go ahead and get your employee self-service account, your manager self-service account. If they belong to any groups, those are assigned to them. When there is a change that happens to their status, if they're a manager and no longer a manager, or vice versa, so that manager self-service account can be maintained. And then when they leave the company, whether their accounts get inactivated or deleted, that also happens to close out that cycle. And we highly recommend doing some sort of automation when you roll this out, because it does become a big maintenance issue unless you're a very small company who has a few hires a week. And then it's easy to do. And we're not going to go too much into mobile employee. It's constantly evolving. So right now, version 9, if you were to download the mobile app on your iOS or Google Play account, you would be able to just view information. So you could view your check stubs, you can view your direct reports, but you cannot take any actions or any workflow on that version of it. Okay, so we are at the question point.
Great, thank you guys. Great presentation so far. We do have a few questions, so we're going to go ahead and get to those in a second. But I will point out for those of you that enjoyed this webinar that this is the second of 6 live webinars we are attempting today. There is a 10x differences one scheduled for 12:15, and there's also a webinar talking about global HR and LTM. Scheduled for 2:45, both of which you might find quite interesting. So let's go ahead and by the way, if you want to find them, rpic.com under events.
Yep, and I do want to mention I've kind of left the proxy, manager proxy out of this because it can be very complicated. But if you join my 245, we go into out of the box functionality that Talent Management Global HR has that makes proxying for managers so easy. It can be set up in 20 minutes by your manager. So amazing, join us. I'll show you that functionality.
Definitely worth checking out. So let's ask some questions here. I'm not sure if this would be a customization, but could employees only enroll in benefits they are eligible for based on the number and age of dependents attached to their record?
That would be a customization because, as many of us know, you are not able to drive your employee groups by dependent information. So you would have to have it go out and query dependents and then dynamically build the benefit plans. So the answer is yes.
So the answer is doable customization. This is a big deal. Is that a big customization? Is that fairly simple?
I would say it would be about a medium effort.
Medium effort. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It would. It's not like, you know, oh wow, that's so easy, or that's, you know, mind blowing. It's in the middle.
It's a reasonable request.
It's a reasonable request, absolutely.
Can we create a screen for managers to view employees' accrual balances?
That is out of the box functionality. So managers will see their direct reports. They can see their direct reports available balance. If you want them to see anything more, like the rate they're accruing or what they would have by the end of the year, so if they do need to borrow, that would be a custom calculation, but out of the box, the manager would be able to see the available balance.
Okay, and the next question here, is the leave tracking a custom app from RPI? And I'll try to address that one first. Is we don't really sell custom apps. We sell the services around them. Obviously, we feel that there's great efficiencies in having performed these services before, but certainly if there's anything in here, I'll plug our company that you're interested in chatting about. Obviously, happy to put you on the phone with Mr. House and Ms. Olson and talk about, you know, what it would take to leverage some of these ideas and concepts. You know, we do feel that anybody can ultimately do these, but having done them before, we have the ability to do them fairly quickly or understand what the effort involved is. Mm-hmm. And with that, it looks like we're all set with questions. I want to thank Melissa and Jeff. This was a great presentation today. Very excited, and hope to see you all for the next few. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good day.